You.
Excellent, excellent. Welcome.
Thank you.
I'm gonna do a quick intro. I didn't know you were actually on yet. Beautiful.
Oh, I could have waited.
You're all right. I was so excited as well.
Perfect.
All right. So I usually start the episode with a quick poetic influence on the session. So just sit tight and we'll do a quick intro. Life
Perfect.
Mastery Spirit, guys. This one's called Optical Illusion. Optical illusion, the fusion forces, tickling the senses, tantalizing spirit, torrents, water liquid crafts, creatures of love as it breaks out in color, a power mystery as the mirror, holds a serious secret as the deck of cards shines to the kingdom, stays to your sharpened icy sword, give me that hot feel, that random heart. People are cruel in this cruel, cruel world, ice skating fantasies and cannibalic lovers jumping from the cliff top, stoned and carefree, meeting a hungry great white who says hello and send inches from your face. All right, guys.
That is awesome.
Yes. Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you. I'd like to welcome to all the guests Tamika Hilder. She is an amazing spokesperson, amazing life mastery specialist. She's doing big things in the conscious spiritual health community, and she's just an inspiration for whoever takes her seminars, whoever gets involved with her. She is rocking. So without further ado, how you feeling today?
I'm feeling very excited to be here. I feel very blessed to be a part of this and to share my message in whatever way I can. So thank you for having me.
No worries, no worries. I'm just as excited, and we have plenty to talk about.
Yeah.
Um, we're just gonna riff for a while, but I definitely have some questions. How did you get involved in overall personal development?
That's a really big question, really, and the answer is going to take a little bit of time. Um, I guess how I first got into it, I
Yeah,
was a personal trainer, long, long time ago, and I was working with clients one on one. And the people who I was working with, I just found that like continuously they would want their weight loss goals, but a lot of them were really stuck and blocked. And back then I knew that the answer to them achieving their goals and to not just achieving the weight loss though, like even achieving their emotional goals of feeling
right.
happy and accepting of their body and happy with themselves. And, I knew that the answer to that was somewhere in the emotional healing realm and also in the psychological realm. So I wanted to learn more in order to understand the connection between the mind and the body. And that was my first um, impulse or inspiration to learn more. And then the turning point came when I had my own, crisis, and had depression and was suicidal and was, just labeled with a lot of different health issues. And that's when I really was like, okay, I'm definitely going to find my own answers and heal myself and transform my own life. And that was the turning point of my life where I, began to study everything and anything that I could get my hands on. Mm.
Absolutely. I don't know if I told you, but I was a personal trainer for about 15 years, and ever since the first time I could remember, I had a little weight set. So it was part of my journey as well. That's really
Yeah.
what connected the dots there. But don't we as trainers become sort of emotional psychologists, and there's only so much we can do for the weight loss and the personal strength gain and goal setting. I always felt like there was a void gap.
Mm. Yeah, I completely agree. In the end, I became more like a counselor to my clients and a personal trainer. And that was what, I was most passionate about, which made sense of me to, move into that field rather than personal training, which I began to lose the passion for anyway when I started to see just how powerful the results could be when I began working with my client's mindset and doing the emotional healing work. It just became so obvious that that produced 10 times bigger results than just working purely with the physical body and just giving them exercises to do. That just seemed so superficial
Yeah.
and small in comparison to what could be achieved.
Mm-hmm. 100%. I feel like when you're a trainer, you're a people pleaser. You always you're at a goal setting range of hitting company targets. You're always up to productivity targets, and you're always trying to unmask and grow yourself. But there's a lot of blockages there for overall growth in that industry. I feel like at the end of the day, the clients need to get their skeletons out of the closet.
Yeah, massively. And that's why, as I started to blend the two of them together, I ended up writing for Oxygen magazine and the Clean Eating magazine. And I spoke for Filex, which is like Australia's largest fitness convention, a few times. And I really put myself in that world, did my best to share to my best ability the connection between the mind and the body. And also, to try and sneak in there as much as I could about emotional healing, in the most mainstream possible way that I could.
Beautiful. Let's switch fronts here a little bit. Describe your perfect day, no holds barred. What brings you to the pinnacle of like a flow state day?
Yeah, so the first thing would be is to wake up naturally, and then as I wake up, the first thing I would do is meditate. And depending on where I was feeling, where I'm at, will depend on the type of meditation that I do. I might work with some liquid crystals. I would probably work with some liquid crystals.
Oh, wow.
And both the cards and also the liquid crystals themselves to get myself into a different state of consciousness as I'm meditating, depending on what my purpose is. And yeah, then I would have breakfast, which normally consists of something liquid or smoothie or juice, particularly in summer, maybe not so much in winter. Yeah, then I would go to the beach with my dog, take him for a walk and just connect, be present, have gratitude for the day, and then come back around about 12 o'clock, start work and just funnel my passion into my business, doing what I love and just, doing my business. That would be my ideal day. And then potentially working with the liquid crystals again in the evening before I sleep. I've been working recently with jade and putting the card underneath my pillow and working a lot through the dream state. So clearing a lot, and yeah, so that would probably be my perfect day.
Beautiful. I'll share kind of how I start the day as well. Especially with a good sleep, if I had a really good dream the night before, I set my intentions. I went to the dream state and hopefully did a lucid dream. Then I'll wake up refreshed with an alarm clock. Actually, one of my favorite songs. Either it could be supernatural, it could be slightly stupid, or it could be Nako Bear. And it'll just start up my day, and I'll go through the different things I'm really excited for about the day real quick in a 5-minute session. I'll wake up, have an amazing breakfast filled with superfoods, take my supplements, and then do some sort of quick stretch or martial arts, either on a quick bike ride or a quick jog to the park, and that will just last about 20 minutes, and that usually gives me, and then I'll have water that really fills up my levels and hydrates, and if I have time for the shower, or if I didn't shower the night before, then I'll get into like a magnesium blend, and I'll use like a hemp seed oil soaps and really get my body just rehydrated, and I actually do a quick yoga session inside of the shower that gets my body really stretched and just lucid, and I do like a little bit of qigong. It sounds like a lot, but when you get into a habit, it really activates all your channels and all your chakras.
Yeah.
And then I'll just really just close my eyes after I take a shower for about 5 to 10 minutes and just really go into a meditative state, and I'll get ideas or things that I'll get into a flow state usually at that point.
Yeah.
And usually take public transportation or one of those methods, and I'll just get out a journal and just write. 10 pages, sometimes 5 pages, sometimes just 2 thoughts. And I won't go into reactive mode with my email, so I'll just literally continue to keep in that flow state. And sometimes it's hard to turn off the flow state when I get into the regular work, but when I'm carrying on to my passion, then I get the whole day to continue that.
That sounds beautiful, and I love what you said about discipline. I feel like discipline, that was one of my posts today on Facebook, and, I was talking to a client earlier today, and she's like, nothing's working for me in my life, and I've got no money, and this is not working, and this is not working. And I said, what are you doing with your disciplined practice? And she's like, I'm not doing anything. It's all gone out the window. And I feel like that's really the key, having a disciplined practice every single
Absolutely.
day. Even if it's just like 10 minutes, you have to do something to connect to source, to connect to your soul, to get in that flow, like you talked about. It's crucial, crucial.
Oh, it becomes great. It becomes like a habit your body yearns for, and not every day will be the same. But just doing something just keeps that body just activated and ready to go, and just you sort of just
Yeah.
reset to that certain channel of your higher self. It's really cool. It's a
Yeah.
good.
I mean, like we both come from personal training backgrounds. So if you're going to work out your body, you have to do some kind of movement. If you want to keep your emotional body clear and activated, you need to keep clearing whatever's coming up and be really present to that. You got to learn how to still your mind to keep your mental body, clear and open and focused, present. And spiritually, you have to just do a practice, I think, to connect into the heart, into your higher self through the heart.
Hmm. What would you say, uh, as if you could give a little advice to your younger self, now that you know a little bit of how the world works and things of that nature? What would you give, like a statement form advice to your younger self?
Oh, that's a really interesting question. I would tell her that everything that she's going through is for a purpose and for a reason, and that her soul has chosen this.
Mm,
So to breathe, to be accepting of it, to surrender to it, and to know that there's a light at the end of the tunnel. And I tell her that I love her to bits, and that she's going to be doing really special things on the planet. So she has to love herself as much as she can. That's the key, most important element.
oh,
And yeah, just that she's a beautiful, amazing person. Yeah.
nice. Um,
Mm.
so are you currently on your road to your higher purpose? Obviously, you're involved with everything. Are you fulfilling your bucket list at this moment in this exact scenario? Because I know I am right at this moment. This is like 5 years in the making. This is happening. So, are
Oh,
you?
wow. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
interesting. So
yeah.
when you say you're fulfilling your bucket list right now, do you mean like interviewing people?
Just having a show, having an educational platform
Or
to express what I can and bring a personality to it and bring a lot of fluid information to the masses.
yes, well then I'm totally living out my bucket list. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
All right.
Yeah. And I mean, not just with this, like with literally, I think my whole business, like everything I'm doing, with my work is 100%, yeah, aligned with my higher purpose, 100%.
Mm.
Which is
What
pretty
advice would
similar to sharing a
you
message
give?
with a masses. Mm.
So how would you get other people to stay on that track to continue on their higher purpose along that line? Would you just tell them to feel feel the gut instincts, feel the follow your bliss? What would you say in general to get to this to it to escape the 9 to 5 to create a lifestyle design paradigm so that they can follow what they're going to do?
Okay, so did you see me sit up for this answer? So I'm ready to
Yeah,
get a little bit inside here.
absolutely, absolutely, absolutely.
All right, let's go.
Woo, woo, woo.
Okay. Okay, so the answer to this question is really, I think this is really exciting because every single person has a higher purpose. You are completely here for a reason, you're completely here for a purpose. And you need to know that, you need to understand that you're not here by accident, and you have really amazing gifts within you that when you're using them and doing what you love and loving what you do, then you're activating your purpose, and that will be sharing your gifts with the world. So you have to first and foremost know that you're here for a reason, and then you have to tap into that reason. And how you tap into that reason is by feeling into your heart space and going, what brings me the most amount of joy? What brings me the most amount of expansion and bliss and joy? And you have to follow that. But when you start to listen to that, that's when the biggest blocks surface, because you come up against your fears, you come up against your self-doubt, you come up against your limitations, your restrictions, your inner restrictions, and that's where the growth comes from. So when you listen to this, you'll absolutely stay on your pathway that your soul has chosen for you before your incarnation. But that pathway is filled with continual obstacles or challenges that are actually the opportunities for your soul's growth. So be prepared for them, be prepared for the obstacles, and be prepared for the challenges, because they are the catalyst for your greatest growth. So they're your greatest teachers. So to really be fulfilling your total purpose requires absolute commitment to your vision, absolute determination, and absolute daily action. So, you know, having discipline in some way, shape, or form, I feel like is so, so, so crucial in order to really be living your purpose. And for me, it hasn't come easy. Like where I am now has been, you know, I first started my business in 2006, and I definitely didn't have the vision that I have now. What I'm doing now, I didn't have back then. That vision for me has grown through time as I've formed a deeper connection to my soul and to my purpose. But it's been a lot of work. You know, I think growing any business or growing any vision is not meant to be easy. It doesn't have to be hard, but there's definitely work involved and action. Definitely action. So I think taking consistent action every single day, of course, while balancing your own energy and your own, you know, personal practice to keep yourself healthy and well is crucial. But yeah, just keep your focus on the vision, and don't allow anything or anyone to sway you or to get in your way. Just keep going, keep taking action, keep believing and keep trusting, keep allowing the support of the universe in the co-creation of what you want. So as you attract those opportunities or the right people to you, you know, you say yes on those opportunities. So you take action and just make it happen.
Wow, you brought up a lot of very good points, and it definitely hit home with the action and doing things and eliminating sort of this energy that's not with you on that pathway, and cutting off people that aren't giving the fuel to get to that higher level, to get to that higher status, to get to that ultimate purpose. But continuing down that journey, no matter how hard it gets, persisting, and the obstacle is the way normally, and you know, it's sort of like a reward. You're digging for gold, and you're gonna get sweaty when you're digging. You're gonna get tired. You're gonna have calluses. You're gonna have fatigue. But along that trek and along that hard grit is going to be forming muscle, and forming mental, emotional muscle, and forming sort of that reward sensory. Like I see this when I travel. A lot of people just are trust fund kids, and they're trustafarians, we call them. So they actually travel on borrowed money, and they didn't earn it. So they don't have the same respect for the travel. They don't have the respect for the road. They don't have the respect for having to take time, effort. And I see that with a lot of, again, people that are very privileged, but usually they don't have the ingrained ethic to continue it on. And the universe kind of takes away when you haven't earned something in a karmic evolution, and pure potentiality doesn't actually activate in non-just causes a lot of times. And I think that when you finally do get one of your goals, you got to make sure that you're stacking upon goals, and then kind of see that clarity for the long-term picture, and uplift others and add value, and continue to increase your higher standards, and continue to add value, and to continue to innovate, and continue to think towards the future. And yeah, it's amazing. The journey is so cool, and the destinations are just stops and learning points. Okay, that's what I did wrong when I failed here. that was cool, but now I know who to trust, and this personality works better with my personality. I know who to add to my team that can complement my different skill sets and things like in that nature. So you definitely hit it
Mm.
on the head.
Yeah, there's definitely no failure, only feedback. So along the journey, as long as you're taking every little setback or challenge as feedback and going, okay, what do I need to learn from this? What do I need to do better? Yeah, and using that information to then improve and grow yourself, expand your consciousness, learn the lessons that you have to learn, and then it'll work the next time around. And even if it doesn't, you learn again, and then it'll probably work the next time around, but you just keep going. So I think a lot of people give up way too quickly because they feel like, oh, it's not quite working, it's not as easy as they thought that it was going to be. I have a lot of practitioners who are coaches or healers who are attracted to my work, and when they start their business, they think that it's going to be really easy to grow their business,
Mm.
but they need to learn skills in business and marketing and sales and all these other things which are really crucial. So it's a real learning process of a real learning process to become successful and to be living your purpose. But as such, like you would know, like it's the best feeling. It's so fulfilling, and it's such a sense of achievement. And versus the kids who say are really born into really privileged situations, when it's just handed to them, there's no respect for it, and there's no sense of achievement, and there's no sense of self-worth, and just that beautiful achievement feeling that comes when you've accomplished something that you've worked really hard for.
Mm. Yeah, absolutely. I
Mm.
feel like we have to respect the journey, and we have to find our daily bliss. We have to connect to each day isn't going to be equal to each other, and different hormone levels, different testosterone levels, different astrology levels. We know that every day is not meant to be just completely happy and a laughter vibration, but we shouldn't waste our life on other people's dreams as well. So we definitely want to spend some time, maybe at least 50% of our time focused on our livelihood, our happiness, our fulfillment. And happiness isn't just, I don't like to use happiness because happiness is three categories. You got your happy, you got your life in balance, but then overall what we're looking for is being fulfilled. And that contains the spirit, contains our physical body, that contains our abundance, that contains our relationships. And we should try to fill it with one thing or another. And I think life gives us signals to follow on certain days. So I was going to ask you about something that can expand and heal. Have you heard of ayahuasca in that
I have.
sacred
Yeah.
plants? What's your
Yeah.
feeling on that? Because I had like a lot of my heroes and mentors, my virtual mentors, Graham Hancock, Joe Rogan, Amber Lyons, just to name a few, and a lot of the community that I'm talking to in all over the country, they're really adamant about ayahuasca. And I had
Mm.
we did a Kundalini Tantra session, a dance class that was just out of this world, and just really got my levels up. And then I had met a cop there, and they mentioned that there was a ton of healing to be done. And they probably needed 20 years of therapy to get it out. And but her practitioner recommended actually ayahuasca. And
Mm.
I haven't updated this conversation. I really want to find out how it went, but normally what happens is the source of the problem, the issues come through, and you purge a lot of the issues. Have you heard anything, or have you had any personal accounts with um, the new influence of I'd say nature speaking to human beings again? What would you feel on that?
Yeah, so I've actually had two personal experiences with ayahuasca. I've done it twice. I've done the ceremony twice. Yeah, and the reason I mean, it just, like, before I did it the first time, it kept coming into my life. I kept hearing about it, and by the time I'd heard about it a few times, I was just really curious. And so I spoke to a friend of a friend who had done it and said, What's your experience? You know, I did some research, and from what I had gathered, you know, it was sounding to be like a really good um, avenue to really see what you fear the most and what you're blocked in you know, your ability to see for yourself within the subconscious. So yeah, I had had a lot of trouble healing a specific sort of health issue in my body. And so I did ayahuasca and I asked the question, show me what's the cause, you know. And it was like being slapped in the face with the answer. It was a really, you know, intense. Oh, yeah, totally. Like really intense and just so, yeah, in your face. It was perfect. It was exactly what I needed at the time. And I mean, the experience was life-changing without a doubt. And then the second time, I asked what my purpose is, and it was simply to give and receive love on the planet. I wanted to know what my soul purpose was. So both times were really intense.
How was
I
it
felt
intense? Like,
well,
did you
like
get?
both times, I felt like I was going to lose my mind because I was seeing so much sacred geometry, and I
Mm,
surrendered so much to the situation and became completely one with the universe. And I was receiving in my mind so much information.
mm,
And at one point, I called the teacher over and I said, "Look, help." I said, "Help," because I said, "It's too much information." And so she just held my hand and I was breathing and then I was fine. It was fine. But I definitely had moments doing it going, oh man, am I going to be able to come back from this state? And obviously both times I have, but it's a scary place because it's such a different state from reality. But yet on the upside, it shows you so much truth, so much truth. For me, I feel like for me personally, like my body can't handle that. Like I'm quite sensitive, so yeah, I feel like I don't know if I'll do it again. I think if I'm called, like you know, like I was in the previous few times, I would definitely do it again. But it's definitely something you have to be called for, and you have to be really ready. Whereas I've had friends who've done it, and one friend in particular was a lot more closed and he hardly experienced anything because he didn't really surrender. But that's, you know, his pattern. So because I surrendered so much, it was both times life-changing, but very just intense. I didn't vomit. I wasn't sick or anything. Just an intense mental, spiritual, emotional experience where I just received so much information. I was one with the whole universe both times. Could like, you know, ask any question and receive any answer in an instant. So that was incredible. It just had so much revealed to me, so much. Mm.
thanks for sharing. That brings up a lot of current endeavors that I may go through in the near future. But I've had some mighty experiences through festivals, through different
Mm.
events. I was a proponent of mushrooms in my early days, and I believe it gave me some technology. And the more and more I'm finding out, it's more of like installing the new applications, the new updates, the new. Um, I believe that nature had created this as a sort of a balance to the human beings. And
Yeah.
what you've said, it has been recounted on a lot of my writings, and a lot of my
Mm.
heroes who went through it, and they've actually gotten their purpose to do great things. Amber Lyons, a CNN reporter who had taken it and was able to purge all her reportings that she had done, all the negative influences that she was around. Graham
Mm.
Hancock for discovering different ancient tombs and on his quest for bringing ancient knowledge back full circle, and in that regards, sort of
Mm.
bringing a full circle between time and space, um, just kind of balancing and giving more information out that's relevant for today's hustle and bustle, 9 to 5 corporate idealistic community, and it sort of has helped soldiers and post-traumatic issues, but we're in the stranglehold of mass media, which tells us, no, 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 these things are deadly. These things will, I know it's intense, but I guess problems can be intense. So some people describe it as 10,000 hours of therapy in 1 to 2 nights.
Mm.
I think it could be used appropriately. And I can't wait to my first time. I believe I'd come out a better man because of it. I have a lot of deep rooted issues, but I've worked through a lot of my issues. But I don't know if I told you, but I've came from a rough upbringing here and there, and I was born in Washington D.C. I mean, I was raised in Washington D.C. and then later moved to the West Coast. And in D.C. you get a blend between FBI, CIA, sort of this capitalistic suburbia meets Baltimore, Washington D.C., where you get the impoverished areas surrounding that general three-state triad. And so you could be driving on one street, and then you could be having gang issues going on those sides. So the suburban hip hop culture came to effect. So there was drug, sex, violence, fighting, fast life, drug selling, suburban fun, but sports mixing all together, and high school athlete. You get a blend of everything, and then if you don't understand anything spiritually, or you're not grounded at all, you get sucked into this world. And I don't know if you got much of this in Australia, but like the high testosterone teenagers are the most wild banshee types of people. So the things that you've seen in certain different times, you can probably compare it to like animals in the wild. It's just anything could happen, and you've felt the adrenaline, you felt fighting, you felt all sorts of amazing emotions. But I guess it prepares you for later on in life. But when you go back into a very, very civilized community, you always have that in the back. So I guess it's a little bit of post-traumatic that you've experienced such. Also, like when you're dealing with the government, you had experiences of being watched by cameras. You had police brutality. You had CIA tappings. You've had undercover operations. You've had people inside of the government agencies that are your best friends. There's just undercover agencies, the 9/11, Pentagon plane smashing, blocks from your school. You had all sorts of things that we were raised in, and you're in the hub of the world's epicenter power grid. And it was a kind of intense for my brother, who it drove him mad, and it drove a lot of other people mad because they weren't necessarily into the system, and they were more higher conscious beings, and they didn't believe there was a life outside of this suburban blend of that world. Luckily, I escaped and went to university and back to the West Coast, where I was originally from, and got that sense of love, got that sense of karma, got that sense of smiling and enjoying life, and everything wasn't so serious, and entrepreneurism, and so it blossomed me as a person. But have you had experience where you were surrounded with a community of people who were like lower frequency, maybe the party life, or maybe the sort of that I don't know, 90210 culture? Like, have you had that superficiality of Mean Girls type of world that you were involved in? How was your upbringing to kind of like guide you here?
Yeah, funny question. At school, actually, I was friends with a group of beautiful girls, and they were all very attractive, women, and we were labeled as the Barbie group at school. So I mean, my friends back at school were not really into spirituality, and so I'm really only friends with, one or two of them at the moment still. So the rest, I guess, we've split because they, for me, were just not really on that, wavelength. So we're, call it superficial or call it whatever you want, but, there was definitely a divide there. And then when I had my drug addiction days, I was definitely surrounded by, low vibration people and energy for sure. So definitely not violence or being threatened for my life by any respect, but just that really, just depressing, stark, not going anywhere, addiction type energy for sure, for a short period of time. Yeah. Mm.
Yeah, you brought up something that when you said that, because I was always like a little bit higher conscious inside of that group. When everyone was like smoking cigarettes and everything, I was like, not so much. I know that wouldn't be good for me. And I was sort of
Yeah.
surrounded by it. I was like sort of that good energy around all this negativity, and they sort of gravitated towards someone that was pretty positive. But I knew
Yeah.
that their influence was caving down on me, and a lot of people were able to like use these hypnotic influences because they knew that I was a big guy, I was pretty athletic. So they're like, a lot of them were, I was sort of a bodyguard in some senses for some people. And
Mm.
so, a quick little story, I was involved in, I had been playing varsity football, and I was a standout defensive end, and I was, being recruited for universities, and I was training real hard. I've been working really hard towards getting our team to the pinnacle level, and we were going to playoffs, and we were one of the best teams in the district. But I was sort of fighting this double life. So I still I had the one group that was athletes, and I had the one group that were into the fast life. So the
Mm.
two sides of the train track came together, and so I was kind of living inside of this one and living outside of this one, but I wasn't committed to one and wasn't committed to the other as well. But I was trying to find a balance. And so one side was rubbing off on the other side because, a lot of these kids weren't exposed to what I was exposed to. And so things hit a headway when I guess the quarterback and me weren't really on the same page with a lot of things that were going on outside of, we had an agreement not to spend our weekends going to parties or anything like that, which we were in our senior year, so it was very hard to just be as in a Buddha state, when we're in our senior year. So, we partook in a little bit of fun and outside influence. I would hang out with them due to my other friends not wanting to have a good time. And long story short, I got caught on homecoming night with a drink in my hand in a party that was happening. It was sort of a setup. It was kind of weird. It was, long story short, was the coach's daughter somehow, or one of the coach's daughter on the lower level junior squad, had kind of set me up to come to a party because he heard that I was talking to it was his sister, not his daughter actually. And anyways, right as someone gave me a beer, a Jeep pulled up. I got caught with the drink in hand, left the event, had to face a trial of getting kicked off the team, and that was all I had at the time. So took the trial, went to try to fight for keeping on the team, going to playoffs, taking us to a whole level, continue my scholarship road. And what happened was I was a distraction to the team, and I broke the agreement that we signed in the beginning of the year, so I got kicked off the team. So immediately all of that good energy I had went all to that dark side, and I started hanging out with a wild group of people, and we went nuts. And couple weeks later, there was somebody who was having an event at their house, and there was drugs involved and things like that, and there was a fight that broke out, and I got stabbed in my lung, and got involved in this altercation. And I came out of it pretty good at the moment because I didn't know I was stabbed, and I was walking away, and about 2 hours later, it was like a balloon inflating and deflating and inflating and deflating. and my lung was literally like losing air all the time. So that was the first experience I had with karma, and
Mm.
it was a triple karma, because first it was the being kicked off the team, then it was getting stabbed, and then it was facing court in the court system in the penal code for malicious wounding. So it was the most stressed I've ever been, and I had to really buckle down and get my life together and figure out who's in my life that needs to be in my life. I settled down. I stopped hanging out with a lot of people, and I eventually got acquitted with 1 year suspended. But I was looking at 10 years in penitentiary. So that was a huge wake-up call, huge wake-up call, huge wake-up call. And I started understanding the words of wisdom. A lot of people hang out with eagles. I started getting advice from family, getting my life on track, and I just took off. Started playing. I ended up playing college football, and I started hanging around with better people, and but I had to shake off a lot of that old attitude I used to have, and it's beautiful that that experience kind of brought me to this whole journey towards fitness and towards helping others, and really when you find what you want to do, you just start vibrating, you start getting excited about it. So yeah, that brought me down memory lane. But that was a pinnacle moment. Do you have any pinnacle moments that got you out of a zombie state, or brought you towards enlightenment? Any anything that happened in that sacred realm, that, like
Well,
a holy shit moment that really got you snapped out of it, woke you up?
yeah, well, if I go back into my childhood, I think I was born on this planet feeling really different and really
Mm,
separate and really disconnected.
yeah.
And then I had certain things happen in my childhood which activated a lot of past life trauma for me
Mm,
within my field, within my energy field. And then as soon as that had happened, as a child, I didn't know how to handle that. I didn't know what was happening, what was going on. And so then I had these really negative feelings inside of myself, which I just had no idea how to process or deal with or anything. So I guess, yeah, I just began a process of numbing myself through different avenues such as food and then boys at school and then eventually smoking pot. And then I guess I was lucky that I had to move to do my uni degree, which was music theatre. I had to move from Redcliffe to Mackay, which is like, 10 hours away. So because I was hanging at uni with a whole different set of people who were just not into taking drugs or even really drinking, really, it forced me to stop that habit, which, I mean, look, in hindsight, it was just me trying to numb everything I was feeling. I had no idea how to deal with myself. So, and then I had bulimia. So, instead of smoking pot, it changed to bulimia. And then, yeah, and then after uni, I was in a really beautiful relationship. And he was at the time just the love of my life. And yeah, a few things happened and we broke up. He broke up with me. And I don't know, just after that, I entered this relationship where it was a bit of a rebound relationship. I moved in after a month. I was engaged after like 5 months. And then we were, yeah, just planning our wedding. So we were, planning everything. And yeah, I was just totally depressed. I was completely suicidal. I, just was so unhappy with my whole life. And it was this one moment in the kitchen where I was going to, kill myself, basically, but I couldn't do it. And so I started to cry and I thought, I can't do this to my family. So for me, I guess that was actually my turning point. I had to hit rock bottom before
mm,
I decided to heal. And then, yeah, and then the journey for me of just inquiry and going inside of myself to release so much emotion and so much past trauma, and yeah, discover who I am, why I'm here, and understand why I feel the way I feel and why I have the certain energies that I have and how to channel them into my purpose. And
Yeah.
so yeah, so then the whole journey of self-discovery began. So that was probably my big moment, and that was my turning point. So
Did you have
yeah,
ADD or anything, ADHD growing up?
no, no, no.
Mm. I feel like I was diagnosed with ADD, ADHD, and I had heaps of studies and things done on me. My mom was really big on getting the diagnosis at the time, and we went to John Hopkins and make sure if it was right. But
Mm,
looking back, I always thought different than most people, and I
yeah.
had a hunter mentality, and
Mm,
I wasn't able to sit still, but I was curious, and I was always asking questions, and to the point where I was asking questions how the world works and how why I was always asking why. I remember people telling me they started making fun of me. You not another question, not another question, and I remember why is it I would ask why was there fuzziness on the tennis ball? Why are we on the planet? And where do we come from before I've even read anything? And these are answers that were in dormant in the brain. But and then I ended up meeting up with people, and we were all pretty good, but we smoked pot every once in a while, and then that got us out into a mentality where we could talk about this all, and everyone was on the same level. And then we would
mm,
start contemplating the universe, and then we'd start talking about our purpose, and we talked about the future. We talked about different ideas, and before mainstream media came around, before legalization happened, before a lot of these areas happened. But I think that ADD was because I'm related to artists, and I'm related to Madame Curie, and Madame Curie was in a direct lineage of Einstein, and they spent a lot of time during his theory of relativity, and she developed radiation. So I found that at a young age, and
mm,
so my mom always said you would do something special, you would think differently, don't think of it as a curse, but think of it as a blessing. And I always kind of like took the risks. I always did. I was I was always, hey, dare this kid to do this, and he'll do it. And I really didn't have any fear. And I think that was um, kind of where it led me today, where I'm innovating and fearless. And I didn't believe that medication would be I should suppress it. I should just let it grow and learn how to channel the energy, like you said, into projects and into podcasts, into comedy shows, into learning, to reading, to exercising, to whatever your curiosity wants to do. But
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I don't believe it's a curse. It's a blessing, and different souls are coming onto the planet with holding different frequencies. So, ADD, autism, and that whole spectrum is actually
yeah,
just a high frequency of soul coming onto the planet in order to assist with our remembrance that we are God, to assist with creating and manifesting a new paradigm, to create the new earth on the planet, to assist with, the ascension that we're going through so we can have, peace on the planet again.
mm,
So you're a special soul. You're here for a very, very important reason. And yeah,
just do it.
like the perfect mum, like good on her for saying to what she said, because she set you up for a lifetime of actually embracing who you are rather than going, oh, who you are is wrong and you need to be given drugs because you're not normal. That's so not correct. And yeah, that's a massive problem, with
Those
labeling
corporate
in our
drugs.
society. Hmm.
Mm. No, you said it right. My cousin has Asperger's, and this kid will answer any math question you want. You put this kid in a laboratory, and he'll
Yeah.
develop something. You put him in a think tank. You utilize these people. Don't put him in a cubicle. Don't put them in a seat all day long. Utilize their gifts from the start, and
Yeah.
collaborate new educational paradigms to just
Yeah.
excel these minds, excel these souls, and I think that's happening. There's a lot of people who are waking up with the TED Talks, and there's people that are waking up with the educational systems around the world, and spirituality is cool. You can be a spiritual gangster and just
Yeah. Woo!
I think have you heard of sacred scrolls? The sacred
Six?
scrolls?
No.
It actually predates the Bible. It was considered to be the first writings, and
Mm.
different things, different educational platforms have been coming out about religion, about Christianity, and a lot of India's remnants are being found. And a lot of the messages are very similar to modern day, but we're getting these. I believe we're getting away from a one religion format in this world. And I think that's really cool because whatever we're taught from a young age kind of sculpts us. And I think for all the viewers out there, check out the Sacred Scrolls. Check out, I wrote it down, the Sacred Scrolls, and there's one called The 50th Law, The Zen of Motorcycle Mechanic. Um, there's one called Ronalda, and it's an ancient scripture as well.
Mm.
So we got to get the confusion out of the educational systems. We got to get this confusion out of our parenting. We got to get confusion out of just society in general. How much do you think people are influenced by mass media?
Oh, massively, like massively. You know, the media is part of our control system in our world. So everything is planned, and what they say and what they don't say is all part of their plan. And yeah, people are hugely influenced by the media, and the media don't tell the truth, and they bend stories, and they leave out the truthful bits of information, and yeah, so hugely influenced. Mm.
We got to change up the system. Whoa, whoa, whoa. I
Yeah.
believe, I believe we can fly. Yeah,
I couldn't sing it then, but
100%. I
I.
I actually just watched a documentary. I'm like a freak. Like I went to hibernation because it was windy and cold like Saturday,
Yeah.
and I just went to this like hibernation mode and just watched every single one of the important documentaries I put off on a list from Samsara, Baraka, and there's another one called the Self Era, and it was about
Mm.
Freudian psychology. Do you know Freudian psychology?
No.
Basically, um, the the issues of control, media, government policies. It basically worked off of Machiavelli, and he
Mm.
advanced a lot of the systems. But they basically revolutionized the commercial. They revolutionized the system, and actually Nazi Germany implemented the system. The CIA implemented the system of Freudian psychology, and Bernard Freudian's. I think I'm pronouncing it wrong. Sigmund Freud, but the Freudian system.
Oh, Freud. Sigmund Freud. Yeah.
Freud. I'm
Yeah.
pronouncing it wrong. Yeah, and just his impact. I never knew his impact had that much to do with modern
Yeah.
day
Massively. Yeah.
corporatism. So he's responsible for the corporations. He's responsible for the banking systems, and the CIA and the FBI, and all these illusions that the media is putting out. And so they have actual like they train us from a young age. So it's very interesting to see that. But if you put a post on Facebook, you just put something, you told your parents about it, or you told your friend from high school about this, they would look at you with four eyes, and they would spin
Yeah.
around, and their eyes would pop out, whoop, whoop, and they would
Yeah.
they would
Yeah.
think you're absolutely certified crazy.
Yeah, people
Why
do.
is that? Why is that?
Well, that's because that's the way our society has been trained, you know. We've been trained to think in a square box and not outside the box. And if we think outside the box, we've been trained to think that we're crazy. So it's all part of the control system,
Yeah,
which
I
is
think
why when
that's
at
it's
school, you
very
know,
accurate.
they're not really trained to be creative, and they're not trained to think outside the box, and they're not trained to ask questions. They're trained to learn information that's been told or taught to them, and then, you know, answer the test correctly with the correct information instead of, you know, ask questions and change things. So I feel like we're just producing little robots, you know, instead of
Oh my,
having
so
these
true.
incredible kids, yeah, like these incredible kids come through onto the planet who really are the solution to our world's issues, and they have the solutions innately within them and encoded in their souls. So we just have to ask them the right questions, and we have to encourage them and tap into what their natural gifts are and really let their natural gifts flourish. And that's really how I see parenting should be. Yeah, so I wish our whole schooling system was just completely different. Mm.
I think the system is YouTube now. That's where kids are getting school systems from or learning is they're actually going to Vice Network. Time Warner tried to produce their own Vice network, and they tried to buy them out for $500 billion. And Vice declined at the current status. So that means that there will be privatized media that will speak the truth for here on out. But they're getting their hands inside with net neutrality and trying to control the different truth mechanisms through WikiLeaks, Wikipedia, Julian Assange, Edward Snowden, a lot of these whistleblowers that are kind of balancing the system, and people are waking up, but it's going to take a little while to. But I believe you need good versus evil. You need duality. You need to see greatness. You need to see some of the system works for others. People who are conscious. I think it's only you take one pill or take the other, and I don't think you look back. I don't think you reverse and go back the other route. I don't think there's a way that you can do that. Um, I think
Yeah, I definitely don't think there's a way you can go back once you've taken the blue pill
I,
down that
I've,
rabbit
I've almost tried,
hole.
tried, and
I
it
I
felt
wouldn't want to go back. This world is way better. The truth is
no,
way.
no. I believe you have a paintbrush in this world, and you can paint an amazing canvas of different colors and different situations, and knowing the law of attraction, knowing karmic power, and knowing how the universe works, you can have things, and the more grateful you are, the more abundance comes to you, and just really fulfilling your purpose really brings you in a better mood. And when you're in a better mood, you vibrate and you receive. It just becomes so beautiful when you create in life, not compete, not throwing down the ladder of your brethren and helping out your sisters, and choosing love over war, I guess, is a good mission. What do you think about the power of no? James Altucher just wrote this book. It's kind of the same cover as The Power of Now, but The
Oh,
Power of No is a brand new, for all the viewers out there. James Altucher, um, he writes a book with his wife about the power of no. And to give a little synopsis of the book, it's actually about a people pleaser person who's done a lot of good things in life, but was such a nice guy, and always sort of molding to other people's wants and needs and being controlled in this society, that his life was kind of spiraling out of control. One failure would happen, another failure would happen. Can you make my wedding? Um, can you do this favor for me? And he was just saying yes, 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 and he wasn't having enough time for his personal freedom, personal happiness. He was working the weekends. He was having no time when he had plans for vacations. So he discovered that the power of no, and doing it, there's like 10 stages of no and different ways to use no. And I think we can both relate to it, being nice people and being trainers. We were always, we want to help people so much that we forget that we have our boundaries.
Yeah, well, I feel like like I haven't read the book, but just the concept of it sounds really, really important for people to understand. I've definitely been a people pleaser in my life for sure,
Me
and
too.
I had to learn, yeah, for sure. And I've definitely given more than I have allowed myself to receive, which is
Mhm.
even something I'm still working on at the moment, just really
Me too.
learning to, yeah, to really give to myself so much so that I fill up my own cup. And then when my cup is full and I keep giving to myself, then there's this beautiful overflow, and it's the overflow that I give to people, and only the overflow, only the overflow. So I feel like in order to get to that place where your cup is overflowing, you have to be continuously doing things which nourish you, which nurture you, which give to yourself. So you have to know what your needs are and how to honor them, which is the foundation of self-love. And then when you do that and you're being and practicing self-love, you're then able to give other people so much more. But you have to be totally selfish before you can actually be a really giving person, because then when you're giving authentically, and you're giving so much more. You're coming from a really high vibration, vibrant, beautiful place
Mm.
instead of a depleted, resentful, tired place. Totally different, energy. So you have to learn how to say no. And what I've learned, and like a lot of people struggle with that because they feel like they have to, or they should, or they have beliefs ingrained in them from childhood that giving is better than receiving. And it's just not true. And it's absolutely detrimental to yourself and to your family if you just continue to be a martyr or give out everything that you've got, because you'll just end up tired and fatigued and probably resentful and have nothing left to give, and you won't be able to create your dreams because you won't have the energy, and you certainly won't be able to help other people. So in order to help other people, you really have to help yourself first, and this comes with being able to say no and say yes to yourself and to your needs. I think that's a really big issue in
Huge.
society. And also what I know is that if your higher self is guiding you to do something for yourself, then your heart would only ever guide you to do something that was for your highest good, for the people around you, their highest good, and for the earth's highest good. So when you're guided to do something, as selfish as your brain may perceive or label that thing, it's actually for everybody's highest good. Even if, like, you've got a family and the mother wants to, here's just an example, but the mother wants to leave for a month and she feels guilty. Oh, I can't leave my kids, but there's this course that she wants to do, and her heart's so excited about the course, but she's like, I can't possibly leave my kids for that period of time. If her heart is saying, yes, that is definitely part of my purpose to do that course,
Mhm.
then she really should ideally honor that and do that, because that will be a benefit to her and to her family in ways which she won't be able to determine until later down the track. So, our life path is predetermined vibrationally. Nothing is set in stone specifically, but vibrationally, it's like we're swimming in a river, and we have a small degree of control because we are in a canoe. So we have two little oars. So we have a small degree of control, but ideally we just want to kind of surrender to that flow. And so that flow, you'll always stay in that flow if you're able to stay connected to the feelings in your heart space. So if something comes up in your life, an opportunity, and your heart says yes, like, and you feel that excitement, then that is totally part of your pathway. That's part of your flow. So I feel like it's crucial that you listen and that you honor that and you take the appropriate action to make it happen. And sometimes that means saying no to other people, and really using your communication to express what you want and to put your boundaries in place with your time and your energy, but to do it in a, you know, a loving, empowered, assertive way.
100%, 100%, 200%. Um, I- that made me think of following the signals, following the certain signals.
Yeah.
A book that I just picked up not too long ago. It's The Magic by Rhonda Byrne, and it just has.
Oh,
Have you read this before?
no, I just have heard of Rhonda Burns. She's a secret lady. Yeah.
Well, basically, it goes through practical guides, how to basically magic health, magic money, magic way out of negativity, the magic ingredient, the magic money magnet, the magic rock, magic relationship, magic health. So it's all mindset strategies and
Awesome.
following signals, and it gives you the magic rock. It was important because every night you were supposed to have a symbol of something that you were grateful for. And then a lot of the strategies, it was just visionary techniques, following symbols, following. I like to, when I'm driving or when I'm walking, I see symbols that relate to my life. I see parts of signs that may say love is the answer, or just behind me, that right there, that shirt I found on the way home from Newtown, and it says love is the answer. And I went and washed it and hung it up. And then behind me, this painting I found as well, and it just reminded me that art was something I should embellish my life. And then below that, there's it's called The Hidden Universe in 3D, and I watched it on IMAX and just understood that everything was quantum mechanics, quantum particles, and everything is atoms, and you can influence that with your thoughts. You can influence that with your gratitude. You can influence that with with basically your mentality, your everything, from the way you look, the way you feel, the way you drink water, the way that your body's alkaline. So you basically is getting your body back to an alkaline state, which is a higher self, which is going to produce the clarity of what you want to manifest, and to continually have that luck or magic. It's keeping that body in an alkaline state, higher self state, and also on your higher purpose. And when you're following that purpose, you may find that you may fall off, but along that line, you're going to have better luck. You'll have 80% better luck, and you'll have your 20% fall offs, but those fall offs are going to be lessons along that journey. And you'll find the naysayers, and you'll find the negative people that will steer you away from it or give you a signal to change. But it's so cool when you kind of like find nuggets of knowledge, and these are age old. This isn't just being rediscovered and put into the population again and put into the mass culture. But a lot of people, they like to say, oh, you can just magically think about $1 million that's really going to happen. What is money? But you could be abundant in so many different areas along that journey and along that. So I don't know if you've had any experience with law of attraction yet. In that
Yeah.
sense,
Yeah,
obviously.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, big time. Very much
What
so.
was your first? What was your first like? Kind of, because I ran into someone at work. He was a sales counselor, and I was hustling, training, and going out there and working out. So get big. Come on, let's get big. Let's get ripped. And he's like, hey man, there's a book that really you think about stuff and it starts to happen. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, okay. But now I'm finding out that I should have done this when I was 15, or like in the beginning of my life, I should have learned things like that. Just the power of meditation, the power of just going silent, and that little voice inside that just kind of guides you and just tells you no, yes, and that feeling in the stomach that just, there's more neurons in the stomach than there are actually in the brain. So just little
Yeah.
signals.
Yeah, so the law of attraction is operating 24/7, whether you're conscious of it or not. So it's the dominant law of this whole universe. And what it means is that you attract to the frequency that you are. So in terms of law of attraction, it's a really it's exciting information. It's an exciting fact. It's an exciting truth, because you literally can create the life that you want. You can create a life that you love. And you have so much power to do that when you understand how to channel and focus your energy, which is what you think, what you say, and what you do, to focus your energy on what you want. Because energy flows where attention goes, and then what you want grows. So the law of attraction, I mean, it's working constantly. So really, like, you know, whatever's showing up in your life, in the listeners' lives, constantly is a reflection of the energy of your consciousness, of what you're transmitting. So just like a radio tower that is transmitting a frequency and your mobile phone is picking up that frequency, your body is just energy. So even though you look physical, if you look underneath a very high-powered microscope at your body, all you're going to see is atoms, which are vibrating at a specific frequency. And then what's even more interesting is that inside those atoms is actually mostly space. So what looks physical, we look like physical beings, but we're actually just energy. So we're actually energy beings. The whole universe is just energy, frequency, and vibration. So when you can wrap your mind around that, and there's too much information now in quantum physics that just talk about this, so it's really being put out there in the mainstream. So that's a fact, that everything is simply energy, and it's just atoms vibrating at a specific frequency. So your body is no different. So depending on what you think, that determines your frequency. What you think creates how you feel, and then how you feel is, you know, creates your frequency, your dominant frequency. So then whatever your dominant frequency is what you're attracting back to you. So all you have to do is look at how your life is showing up, and that will show you what your subconscious beliefs are. So if you can start to meditate or just sit and consciously use your imagination, use the power of visualization to see the outcome of what you want in your life, and to think about that every day, to focus on that, to only talk about that, to only think about that, and to take action towards that every single day, all your energy is being channeled towards this beautiful vision. And then the law of attraction will, you know, because you're putting off that frequency and you're focusing on that frequency, you will attract to you that exact frequency, or you will attract to you all the opportunities and the people that resonate with that frequency, so you can then take action to, you know, manifest what you want. So yeah, we are extremely powerful beings. We really can create anything and everything we desire. I suggest to people that they feel into what their heart wants, because when you manifest what your heart wants, that is going to fulfill you. If you are focused on egoic desires, they're just superficial desires that are not going to fulfill you from the inside. So what I've found is that if something is meant to be, it'll show up on your path. So a big important key to manifestation is actually the letting go, the surrendering of the desire. So even if you're, for example, you know, you've got your business and you're taking action every single day on this vision, you still have to remain surrendered to how and when the goal happens. So we cannot control how it happens or when it happens. We have to leave that up to the universe. So it's very much a co-creative process of you beaming out a frequency, you know, like a radio tower, and the universe responding and bringing to you, you magnetizing to you the people, the opportunities, and the situations that match the frequency that you're transmitting to the universe. So literally, because of that, anything is possible. And even on that note, anything is possible. We know from quantum physics that anything that we can imagine has, you know, is already happening, already exists. So literally anything that your mind can conceive already exists. That whole reality already exists. So literally we have so much potential. There is infinite potential to create. To create, we are literally, like you said before, we have the paintbrush. We're the artists of our life. We're the author of our life. So as long as you have a clear vision and you stay focused on that
Mm-hmm.
vision, and then you take action on the opportunities that the universe brings to you, that is the process of manifestation. But what gets in the way for most people are the deeper hidden blocks. So, they have this vision and they start to take action, and then they feel blocked in terms of creating that. And that's where my work comes in, to help them shift the deeper hidden blocks, emotional and beliefs, psychological, that are within their field, yeah, that are preventing them from being in vibrational alignment with their vision. So just comes back to all the common programming of I'm not good enough, I don't believe in myself, lack of trust in self, lack of trust in the universe, fear, anxiety, just all that stuff, not feeling worthy or deserving, if it's abundance, giving out too much of their energy, not allowing themselves to do what we talked about before, which is the self-love practice, and really giving to themselves and allowing themselves to totally receive. So, yeah, there's a lot of different deeper blocks to go on, but they're all pretty common, and they all stem back to learning how to love yourself. Really, that's the foundation of it all, is total self-love. Mm.
Yeah, the blocks was what I really got out of your seminar. I really noticed that I needed to clear some sort of um, giving away more, giving away time and effort, not just for receiving, but developing and canceling a lot of my leisure and dealing with the adversity and tying the knot in my hand and holding on and trusting that everything will be all right, and having more trust, and then developing relationships in a better, more truthful status, and just sort of doing the calculations on and the clarity, because nowadays we're just hit with so much, all the radiation, all the signals, all the information. But
Yeah,
like Bruce Lee says, just eliminate distractions, eliminate. Don't keep on adding. Take away, so that we can have the clarity, the focus to spend time on our decisions and ourself and make better decisions. Because I
yeah,
think life is all about decisions, it's all about love, and it's all about fun, enjoyment, and pleasurable experiences. So when we continue to make better decisions, we continue to just surround ourselves with a loving atmosphere, and not being fearful of the hard work. But it's never hard. It's never too hard. It's just being patient. But we're filled with instant, that we could just be a little bit more patient. We could
mm,
just sacrifice a little bit more, and then get into a mind state that it's okay to do things a little bit different. It's okay to follow what we feel works best for us, and individual creativity will arise. Because I
mm,
believe that we've lost our creativity in a. I think I connect with about 5% of the population. They really do have
mm,
a true connection. They really do listen. They understand how the world works. But about 95% are, they may just be like, this
mm,
person, they're batshit crazy, or they think that there's you got to do the safe way. And
mm,
believe it or not, the safe way is not going to work till retirement. The safe way isn't always going to give you the life that you wanted. The safe way is headed towards a system and control. But I think the safest way is your health, which is aligned with your purpose. And
mm.
yeah, we have a lot of great things that are happening right now, and technology. I think in 20 years is going to give us a lot of insight on that. Have you heard of Tucker Max? He writes, "Do they serve beer in hell?" Um,
No. To be
Or
honest,
you,
I haven't read a lot of things recently. I did so much study for so many years, and for about 10 years, and I started, a master's, PhD degree, and I
ooh,
studied so much, and I didn't finish it though, because I would have had to go to the States like six
mm,
times in a year, and I didn't have the money at the time. So I stopped
mhm,
that degree. But yeah, I studied so much in the past that I got to a point, which was probably about a year ago, where I just felt like, right, it's time just to teach what I know.
it.
And so I just don't, when I go to pick up a book, my brain goes, no, 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 no. So I just have
Yeah.
not read anything much in the last year, to be honest. I just teach what I know and just focus on my teaching.
Yeah.
Mm,
Well, yeah,
mm,
I believe in that so much. I've learned so much, but I believe I wasn't getting different information. I'd focus on just health and wellness, and so
yeah,
I needed some knowledge and
yeah,
entertainment along that way. And then recently writing, I needed to read more just so I can understand how to tell a story better. And Mojo Thrive Guide is my new book that is in the process of shaping itself. So I'm getting a lot of information through podcasts and doing jobs that aren't on my frequency right now. They're just survival jobs or temp jobs, and I'm finding I'm working real estate. I'm doing so many different things. I like to be involved in a lot of things. So during my work shifts, I actually put on my earbuds in one ear and listen to my best friends, my mentors, such as Joe Rogan, um,
mhm,
um, agents for um, life mastery. I listen to Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill, but mostly philosophers, Seneca. So I'm listening to great minds,
yeah,
and they're just filling my ears all day long. That they kind of, I'm getting their message. It's like I'm having conversations with them constantly, and I'm now shaped sort of differently. So it's like having a working relationship with these individuals through podcasting, through and meeting people virtually. So it's I'm feeling their emotions, I'm feeling their actions, I'm getting a lot of life clarity through wise elders that I wouldn't normally have contact with that are giving me and providing me with a dance of leadership, a dance with respect, a dance with communication, a dance dealing with death. Like
mm,
I've listened to Terence McKenna, and he's one of the most brilliant people I've ever listened to. It's like having Einstein in your ears.
yeah,
And subconsciously, I'm just downloading new thought patterns. And so, like some of the jobs I've been at were very negative, and I'm getting a lot of people, treating people like slaves and demeaning them and bullying them. And then I'm attached to that frequency, but I'm ignoring that frequency, and I'm sort of escaping space and time by listening to podcasting. So I haven't read so much, but I'm getting fluid knowledge through podcasting, audiobooks, and things of that nature. And
yeah,
it's helping my ego. It's helping my I'm getting rid of entitlement. I'm finding things I need to work on, and then I can fill my cup up easily. And then
beautiful.
along the way, I'm teaching on trains. I'm teaching at seminars. I'm talking to people in the elevators. Anyone who I can spark a difference with, I'm communicating. And I'm like,
Yeah,
okay. I'm feeling good about my purpose, and I'm still in a survival job situation, but I'm escaping it slowly, step by step, and planning new moves and meeting people like yourself that are on that pathway and on that frequency. And man, it's just so fun because um,
yeah,
you know, just sharing information and just being in that world of education and leadership and podcasting. You're finding that because there's what do you think about the gatekeepers that were once holding everyone back, but now through technology, I believe that a lot of things are changing. Are you familiar with gatekeepers and things of that nature?
no, no,
Like
no,
just gatekeepers being like the internet used to not be operational, so now we have access to information and movies. Now you can see streaming movies online. You don't go to the movie theaters as
yeah,
much.
yeah, it's
Music,
awesome.
gatekeepers for publishing a book. You had to go through agencies and developers, and it would take a lot longer. Now we can self-publish and things like that. So gatekeepers are a product of information and product of bypassing the middleman and jumping over the middleman and allowing creative minds to work together. So I think you would be really interested in this, Tamika. There is a thing called Metacast, and Max Tucker was talking about it today. And Metacast is like a Facebook for doctors and medical practitioners and
Mm,
naturopathic healers and wellness life coaching. And
mm,
basically, what you do is you log on, and based on your symptoms, your issues, you will fill out your scenarios, and you would meet with somebody either in person or online, and then they would do a house call for $88
mm.
and give you the time and the relationship ability to treat what you got going. And they would, if you're sick, they'll actually bring you organic soup. They'll bring
Wow.
you like magnesium tablets and like oregano oil and things like that they
Mm,
that and then you get the old, it's sort of like the old doctor experience. And
mm.
you can
Amazing.
now log on. It's like a Facebook center. So now the gatekeepers of the
Wow.
medical field are now eliminated. And I was
Wow,
just,
that's amazing.
yeah, so I'm finding out about a lot of this stuff through, and a lot of this new progressive movements and world issues and work and through audiobook scenarios and filling myself up with education normally that I would be spending on time on Facebook or just wasting time texting or something. So now, yeah, like
Yeah.
so it's becoming more of like a, a, a mentorship that I'm getting. So it's
Yeah.
really helping me. Who's
I
your
think it's really crucial in terms of developing ourselves. For me, I did what you are doing, and I've read a lot of books, and I listened to different audio books and things like that. And then see that sits in the 400 consciousness scale. So on the map of consciousness, the David Hawkins talks about that's in like the 400s, which is the pure intellect. And so
Can you
I did
explain
that
that a
for
little more
pardon?
for the listeners because that hit big. How do you mark that level of consciousness mapping?
Okay. So we have basically human consciousness is can be calibrated on a scale from like 1 to 1,000. So 1,000 is enlightenment, and the bottom calibrates at 20, which is shame. And so you move from the lowest vibration of consciousness, and then you move up slowly through the scale. So when you get to 200, you get to courage. So anything below 200 is all extremely negative fear-based states of consciousness. And then you get to 200 is courage. And then we have, I can't remember the scale from the top of my head, just bits and pieces, but 400 is reason. So 400 is the typical consciousness level of, say, the States and Australia. It's also the typical consciousness level of, say, psychology or medicine.
Yeah.
But yeah, pure intellect. So Einstein, for example, he was like 498, I'm pretty sure.
Wow.
When you get to 500, that is love. So I normally sit between 5 and 600, normally
I can
like
tell
low.
when you're on stage, you are 700.
Yeah, when I'm on stage, I get to probably like in the 700s, but in my waking, where am I now? Let me just check. So I'm close to 600 at the moment. So my body's a little tired at the moment. I'm just about to go on a month's holiday soon. So it's going to be a beautiful time to
Oh,
get my vibration back up because I've been giving out a lot with my seminars recently. So I found it challenging to keep my vibration high doing so much travel and so many seminars. So, but yeah, so it's a really great
passing on
kind
good
of.
energy.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Received. Received.
Oh yeah. I'm
Well,
I
when you
wish
get to the
I felt it, ladies and
500,
gentlemen.
yeah, I definitely do. My body's hot now. See, that's the thing. People think we're not like connected. We're totally connected. There is an invisible field of energy that connects every single atom in the whole universe. So you and I, you just have to send me energy, and I get it. I receive it. And I felt it then. So yeah, we're all connected. It's such an illusion that we are separate. And I definitely, in my meditation and in my ayahuasca experiences, I have experienced oneness over and over and over again. So for me, just kind of going back to the topic of learning and developing, and for me, I got to the point where I had a few people say to me, Tamika, you have to start going within, because I used to see a lot of practitioners for healing and spiritual development and growth, and I started hearing the same message over and over, which was, Tamika, you have to start to look within, stop going without. So reading books for me were a way of seeking answers externally, and they definitely helped me, and they definitely are a crucial part of the journey, podcast, learning, etc. It's crucial. And then you get to a point where you realize that we live in a holographic universe. So the whole is contained in the part. So we have the whole universe inside of us. We are God, and we are source, just source. That's what I call God, source, love, inner body. So when you start to go into your heart, when you start to go into yourself, it's a different learning process. You're then learning and developing and tapping into truth via going internally.
Yes.
So that's more my learning now. I'm very just focused on, self-inquiry, observations, being present to what I'm thinking, what I'm feeling, what's happening in my dreams, and exploring that, clearing what comes up, clearing anything that I notice that is a negative thought, a limiting belief, an emotion that's, not of love, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, so it's just been a process of, deep self-inquiry. And for me, that is the journey to enlightenment, is to go within and to clear everything out of my energy field that is shadow and that is not of the light, that is not love. So I can then embody the light that my soul is. So when we die, people say, oh, I was leaving my body and I saw a tunnel and I saw the light. It was so beautiful. However far that light is away from you when you die, that's how close you were to being enlightened. So ideally, when we die, we want to be the light.
Bam.
So you can only be the light from clearing all our past conditioning, clearing every single thought pattern and every single belief, and releasing all of the unresolved negative emotion that is held within our body from childhood trauma, past life trauma, prenatal experiences, etc., 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 ancestral patterns, and that's the stuff we have to clear. And it's that stuff that's within our field that is creating our life, that is creating how much money we have in the bank, that is creating the state of our health or disease, that is creating the state of our relationships. Everything, like literally everything, is being manifested from this energy that we have in our field. So for me, rather than learning information, I guess I've been there and I've done that, and it's definitely a crucial part of the journey. But for me, where I'm at, and when you get to the 500, that's the level of love, which is the heart. So when you start to go into your heart, you realize you stop processing things through the mind and through the intellect, and you start to feel more. So it's more a journey of feeling. And in terms of the spiritual journey, you can't tap into your intuition, or you can't tap into high knowing without feeling. So it's a big, big leap and a big jump to get. The hardest jump in consciousness is to get above 200 on the map of consciousness, to shed fear, to come into courage and empowerment. And then the next biggest leap is actually to move from the 400s to the 500s, because when you're in the 400s, you think that in order to grow, you have to know more, you have to gain more wisdom and knowledge, but it's not true. You actually have to go inside your heart and start being instead of doing or thinking. You have to just start to be, which for someone who's got a really active, highly intelligent mind, like I certainly have, it's been a real journey. It's been a challenge. So, yeah, I guess through practices that bring you into stillness, like meditation, or any practice that brings you into your heart, I think is the key, is really the key. So heart consciousness versus head consciousness or intelligence. Heart consciousness is what we have to develop because we've spent decades and decades and decades developing the intellect, but now as society, we have to develop the heart consciousness. We have to develop compassion. We have to develop our ability to give and receive love. This is a new learning as society, which is crucial, which on the positive side for our personal lives actually heals our body. It brings us closer to our intuition, brings us closer to our divine nature as a soul, as God, brings us into greater harmony with other people. It brings more understanding to us about our relationships. It, it brings us closer as communities. It's a different way of operating. It's a different way of being. It's a different frequency. It's a whole different consciousness. So when you're in your heart, you do things very differently compared to if you're just coming from your head.
I think that's 100% on, and I noticed the flow state you're in. That's full on. You're speaking from the heart, and you touched your heart.
Yeah.
You're speaking out of it, and you're resonating. I really set me at ease hearing that. Well, here's my mission, and I'm called to this, is helping people who are lower vibration and starting them are at the lowest stage and just mentioning, just breathe, right? And then when they say, well, meditation is mainstream, I tell them, okay, let's just do some stretching. I won't say anything about breathing or meditation because then they shut off. I'll say, let's roll our shoulders. Let's loosen it up. Let's take a deep breath, pull in and pull out, push out and push in. And then just letting go. Okay. Notice how you're feeling. Notice how your body is. And a lot of people will answer, I feel the same. I feel the same. And I say, all right, okay, let's do it again, and let's do different exercises. Let's move the legs. Let's move the hips. And I'll sort of just run them through how to slow down their mind, because the mind is just running, and it's going through all the possible scenarios, and they have no ability to turn that off. And that reactive mind is the Dianetics that we need to control to then reach a different level, and to let the fear and let the scared inner mind slowing down, the subconscious, and rewire. That's why I say the podcasting. That's why I say listening to truth, listening to people who are speaking from the heart, being around people who are loving and not judgmental, and being around people who are out to uplift you and go along with you on your dream journey, and you will feel good about being around these uplifting, beaming, sensational, just astronauts of love. But their intentions are clear. So what I somehow, when I first got into martial arts as a young kid, it was an ability in a way to channel anger, and it was a way to learn how to defend myself against possible bullies. But now that I think about it, all those arts were all about meditation. We do the forms where we just bring our arms down, and then we would do breathing, and we would sit down and do meditation. And as a kid, I would be wrestling around, and then I would be able to focus. But I've come to a state where every movement is meditation. I'm open to just a lucid state of I'm trying to get to the status, almost getting there about 50% of the time in active meditation. But people who have trouble meditating, here's my recommendation: just listen to a guided meditation with a soothing sound in earbuds or noise canceling information, and go to sleep. And when you're very calm, and listen to, nature sounds and things of that nature to just give your circadian rhythms a break. And then,
Mm.
talking yourself um, through, you can pick categories: anti-anxiety, depression. You can go through uplifting, positive mentality. You can go through dealing with confidence, self-love, self-esteem, things of that nature. And you can start out that way, because I think that it's a journey, and I know that it's a journey, because it gets easier and easier and easier as long as you practice. So Tamika is at a Yoda-like status. So I don't want everyone who's watching to think that, you're just one day gonna just meditate once and be to the level of me and Tamika, where I'm catching up and I'm not there quite yet consistently, but getting there fast with a lot of practice and a lot of it's just fun, because
Yeah.
being calm and being at peace is one of the best feelings, and nature is a huge, humongous, um, cavernous, great, abundant helper in this mentality. So we don't have ADD, we have NDD, nature deficient disorder. And so
Yeah, totally.
we need to get out in the water, we need to get out in the sun, we need to get out in just peace and quiet for a while, and just get out of the noise, the pollution, everything. We need clear air. And
Mm.
where we once were, this is where our genetics thrive. We are animals, we are connected to nature. So that's stage two in development of meditation. And I think if you look up online Tai Chi and Qigong, they're like 5-minute little instructional videos, but they just
Mm.
have you stretching and certain mechanisms, and they feel really good, and you can do them. It takes 5 minutes, and you just make it part of your life. And you can do them like at your desk, when you're just opening your arms up, holding that for 5 seconds, and then breathing down,
Mm.
and that gets you to uh, samadhi. Samadhi is a feeling of light and fluid, breathing, and loosening up, and circulation of your body, and clarity through your mind, and just it brings you to a higher level. But we as a society, the more we meditate, the more we can tap in, get, like you were saying, the inner self, connect back with the inner self,
Mm.
and just getting to a state of letting all the things we're holding on to. A lot of them are ways of clearing. So when I go like this, I clear. We need a physical clearance, because that's what's happening, is we're trapped in our mind, and we need it to just to move. We need it to circulate out and get it out, like Jay-Z's song, get that dirt off your shoulders. So you need to really move that energy that you're hit with your boss and deadlines and kids and being late. We need to get rid of all that feeling and just channel it out. But really seek out your professionals, and seek out your YouTube teachers, and your podcasting, and like we said in the beginning, from personal training background, is being consistent, and not being the meathead who puts 455 pounds on and just does that the first day back in the gym. Start really simply. Start with the low. Don't expect the world, but just go with it and just be consistent, because that is what's going to make the difference, is putting it into your life consistently. And I think, like the signals, like you said, you're on a pathway, and your life is designed in a pathway that you can go outside of the pathway, but as long as you get within that, I think meditation is your best friend. It's just like, you can call it prayer, you can call it um, deep breathing, you can call it whatever you want, but it is where you can detox and be nice to yourself, and it's an activity that really, really has more power than you give it. Uh,
Mm.
that's my tangent Um, we'll do about 20 more minutes if you can, and then I just have a few rapid fire questions. What do you think about Diet Coke?
Diet Coke?
Yeah,
Random question. Um,
yay or
Diet
nay?
Coke. Diet Coke is worse than actual Coke itself. So the um, the fake sugars that are in Diet Coke actually, from what I know, totally do like irreversible nerve damage to your body. So if you're gonna have
Mm,
Coke, have real Coke compared to Diet Coke. Diet Coke actually puts more weight on your body, makes you fatter. It's part of the marketing so that then you drink more and you need more. So yeah, Diet Coke is terrible for your body. Terrible, terrible, terrible.
okay, why do demons usually possess us? Why don't angels possess us? Or do you have an answer to that?
Um, yeah, I do have an answer to that. For an angel to possess us, because humanity operates at such a low frequency, a low vibration of consciousness, what is known as a demon is simply just um, it's like a cloud of energy that has been created from human negativity, from thought.
Mm.
So it's just made from us anyway. We've just labeled it a demon or entity, and if somebody is thinking negatively, then they can attract a demon or an entity to them, and then that can kind of hook in to their energy field. So that's very easily happen. That just occurs really easily because we vibrate. I think 85% of the population vibrates below 200. So in pure fear, so to have an angel, to be possessed by an angel, I know archangels are calibrated at like 50,000. So on the human consciousness level, enlightenment is 1,000. But 50,000 is just massive. So to be possessed by an angel would be impossible because we do not vibrate at that frequency.
Okay,
To
cool.
allow that amount of beautiful positive energy into our system would literally blow our circuitry. It's
Okay.
too
Uh,
powerful.
what's one moment that happened to you that you could say that you could tell someone and they'll be like, yeah, really?
Um, Probably that when I was, and I don't tell anybody this, but when I was smoking pot, I started to deal it to my friends because I was kind of entrepreneurial. So I wanted to make money. So you could have considered that I got into doing that for a short period of time. So before I turned my life around, yeah.
Now it's Colorado's #1 cash crop, and California had and Washington D.C. decriminalized, New York decriminalized. It's unbelievable what's happening in that realm, and it's cutting down Mexican
Mm.
cartel money laundering, and it is actually helping the planet. So full circle, you were right. um, what um, what undeniable talent makes are you world class at?
um, there's so many. No, just kidding. Um, I would say two things I think are my, absolute just natural abilities. One is my ability to have fearless movement, which is no matter what I put my energy into my life, I move forward incredibly quickly. So things
Mm,
manifest really quickly in my life because of my just who I am. And secondly, my ability to teach, my ability to break down a message and yeah, explain it in a way that I think most people will get.
mm. What do you see? That's beautiful, by the way. What do you see in 100 years' time? Do you think we'll have our planet in a total technology, Google Glass, living in space? What do you see in about 100 years?
Yeah, I think our technology will be just, you know, out of this world, to be honest, because it's catching up with the capacity of what our brain can do. People just don't realize that what is being manifested out there with technology is simply the ability of what our human brain can actually do. But I see a world filled with people living in their heart space, people who are really vibrating at a high frequency, people who know that they are the co-creator of their reality, people who, when they have an emotional trigger, instead of blaming the other person, they take it as an opportunity for growth, and they're like, hey, thank you, and then they go away and, you know, take responsibility for that feeling that has been triggered within them, and actually have the tools and the processes to know how to release that and let it go in the instant. I see a world filled with people who are compassionate, and filled with a world with people who know who they are and are living their purpose. And because of that, people who accept the differences in everybody else. So we have a world of peace, and love and compassion and uniqueness, and we celebrate the uniqueness and the differences in people. Yeah, I see a world where sexuality is actually embraced, and we know how to use our sexual energy for enlightenment, yeah, and for healing the body.
Tantric.
Um, yeah, tantric, exactly. So yeah, I see people manifesting at the speed of light very quickly, way more magic present. Yeah, a world where people know who they truly are, which is God, love.
Mhm. Well, based on that love topic, I have an abundance of love. I have the most love I've ever seen in the physical and emotional, getting more of it. But what do you what do you tell somebody who really gravitates towards tantric practices, towards they love this idea of polyamory, the Playboy lifestyle, sort of, because that's sort of embellished in the society and the hip hop culture in the early '90s. This whole pimp thing going on, and I think it's changed the constructs both with how relationships are being handed out. I guess what I'm saying is, do you think relationships, love paradigms, do you think they have been changed over the last 10 years? And if so, um, in the perfect world, and I guess in the ancient world, how do you bring those together and have this sort of society accepting free love attitude again? What do you do?
Yeah,
That's a
okay.
question. Sorry.
Okay, so here's a big question. But to answer it quickly, I think people are getting divorced so much now, so that people went into marriage previously and then began to lose themselves. So it's so important for us to stay connected to who we are, and not lose ourselves in relationship. Stay really true to who we are and to our purpose. And of course to be supportive of our partner's journey, but not to become one, because we're already one, we're already whole, we're already God. So we need to love ourselves enough to fill ourselves up and do what we have to do to make ourselves happy and whole first before we enter a relationship, ideally. So then the relationship is the icing on the cake. It's not someone needing to make
Mm,
us happy or whole, and then we won't have divorce. In terms of like a free love society, for me personally, as much as I am into learning about sacred sexuality practices, I'm definitely a one person, you know, monogamous person in relationship. And for what I desire for myself personally is actually to be with one person, and actually go deeper and deeper and deeper with that one person through life, deeper on every level. But when you're giving your energy to so many other partners, you cannot go to those depths. So it's a more superficial connection.
mhm.
You're unable to have the time and energy to develop each relationship, compared to if you're just focused on one person. So I guess each to their own, for sure, in terms of, you know, what's appropriate for you. And I feel like it's really important to explore this area and to be honest with yourself, and to go, if you are someone who wants to explore multiple relationships, then you really have to be honoring of that, and not judge it, and go for it and find out if that's really for you or not. But what I can tell you, which is really important for women, is that if you have loveless sex, the energy that goes into your womb space is it looks like a black kind of tarry energy, and that has to be healed and cleared. The womb records every single energy from the lover that she's had. So then her womb space becomes tainted, and a woman's womb space is actually the center of her femininity and the center of her power. So it's so crucial that if you're going to have multiple lovers, it's done with a loving, high-frequency energy, or it's actually really detrimental to the body. And we have way too much abuse energy, dominating a kind of abuse energy, just pure raw kind of root chakra energy that's in our society, where women aren't acknowledged as the goddess, or they're not revered, or so I feel like you can have pure fucking, but if the heart's involved and there's respect and there's love, then it's not going to be detrimental. So if sex is done, even bondage and discipline and whatever you're into, if that's done with consciousness, it's okay. It just depends on the energy present when the act is done. So, I mean, sex is a huge topic. I could talk about it for a long time because I've healed a lot of different things in my own sexuality. So it's a huge topic that I
think we got to come back to that on another podcast, but I definitely...
Another talk, yeah.
I think that I have probably one 30-second explanation for what's going on now. I think that there's an alpha presence. There's a role reversal in society. There's also religious context. There's also places to share love, like festivals and different bonding experiences. But it doesn't all need to be physical. It could be a connection through just communicating, eye gazing, different exercises like holding hands and connecting and talking and expressing. And what we ultimately want is connection. And some people want more connection. I've seen some people sway back from that. And there is energy and there is genes that are wanting to be expressed more often. And we are all come from a sperm cell, and I believe that there is some people on this planet like Genghis Khan or Alexander the Great that had thousands of offspring, that those type of energies are meant to produce more, and females gravitate towards that, and et cetera, et cetera. But there is, like Chris Ryan in the Dawn of Sex, he actually explains it as a hunting community culture, and we're putting a lot of labels on relationships and things of that nature. But I believe there is a yin and yang, and we can connect at that level. But there's time for experimentation, and there's time for a lot of fun. But be careful, because sex is a drug, and it will consume you. And I tell my little brother and friends that are young, be careful, because it will consume your life, and it will you may get addicted like you can get addicted to anything.
Totally. Yeah, totally. It can definitely be a way to numb what you're feeling and escape.
Yeah, it's a great way to connect as well. But people, if you can find someone that you really love and respect, the sex will be better, the communication will be better, the connection will be better, and you got to harness in that relationship, because it's going to be there's going to be rocky roads. But try to get together with someone who you don't naturally fight with. You're sort of you become bonded, but you rely on each other in different ways. But don't be manipulated by the Bachelorette shows and the music videos and different music you hear, because that's trying to sell you something. Let's think with our heart. Yeah.
And that's a very low vibration way of being, actually.
Okay. A few more questions, and I know Tamika's got a big mission for tomorrow and things of that nature. But um, I think that there's something that we need to discuss that is so important and rarely gets discussed is sacred geometry and the golden ratio,
Yeah.
um, the pyramids, the Masonic temples, religion, um, different um, different I don't know, technology that we can utilize in our daily lives. How can we, and then also astrology, how can we use that, sort of that first original message we got from the planets, or how do we use that in our daily lives? I know we
Mm.
touched on that in your seminar, but
Yeah, well, you know what? For me to answer this question truthfully, I'm going to show you something.
oh,
Um,
cool. I
the,
love
the liquid
that.
the liquid crystals are actually created by this guy, Justin Assar, and to me, he's an absolute genius. And
Hmm.
it's so his company is called theliquidcrystals.com. And so what he's done is he actually remembers Atlantis like it was yesterday. And he remembers the Atlantean way, where back then the crystals used to grow in one particular area. So, for example, ruby would grow in Australia, and amethyst would grow in Brazil, and that's not true necessarily. I'm just giving an example. But so today the crystals are kind of they grow in different places. So the power of the crystal, the messages of the crystals are actually really dispersed and weakened. Back in Atlantis, what would happen when we were 13 years old? The high priest or high priestess would come to you, to your parents, and say, okay, right, Ryan's purpose in this lifetime is to master the crystal, for example, rhodochrosite. So you would go to the city where rhodochrosite grows, and you would actually spend your time living in that frequency and mastering that crystal. And you would eventually, if you wanted to, if you got really good at it, become a priest and then a high priest, and etc. etc. So this is actually, these liquid crystals are way more powerful than just working with a simple crystal, because it's actually got the sacred or the geometry, the geometric crystalline structure like inside this liquid. And as you know, liquid and water holds memory. So this is a way which for me is, I guess, a practice towards enlightenment, for ascension, to raise my consciousness. And there's 77 different minerals. Most of them are crystals, some of them are different, just rocks and whatever. But they're, you know, our body being made of the stars and of the earth already holds these 77 different minerals. But the goal of taking something like this is to be able to hold that geometric structure in your blood and be the embodiment of it. So in a way, the way that Justin puts it is that you become in a way enlightened when you can hold all 77 of the crystalline structures, the geometric structures in your blood. So, because you're accessing 77 different aspects of God, 77 different aspects of consciousness. So, I don't know, that was the first thing that came to me when you asked that question, because this is a way to actually, when you take, say, 3 drops under your tongue, you're then turning your energy field into that geometric structure. You're literally holding that structure. And the more you take it, the more your body remembers how to hold that structure, and you can master different states of consciousness. These are good crystals. Like, I've just finished doing the advanced course, like literally yesterday. Yeah, it is really mind-blowing, probably definitely a different topic, but it's mind-blowing what you can do. You can do similar things to ayahuasca, taking these. You can take journeys into the stars. You can take journeys into high states of consciousness. You can heal the body. You can do anything and everything. They're quite powerful and quite amazing. And then you have the devas, which is the spirits of the crystals, working with you as well. So yeah, so in terms of that, that would be my most practical ways. Check out the liquid crystals and, contact me if you want to have a session, because they're just amazing and really mind-blowing with what you can heal and achieve personally, whether that's on the physical, mental, emotional, spiritual level. You can even work with animals and plants with them. So yeah, that's one answer. I could give you more.
Yeah, I want everyone to definitely check out Tamika's Facebook page, Tamika's Life Mastery session. I want you to tune into her YouTube videos because this woman will teach you so much you've been striving for, and it's a lot of new concepts, a lot of just on the upheaval of brand new knowledge that's being brought back into and on the forefront of a lot of great things in this new revolution of thought, this waking up of this awakening and this pure energy and this pure love that you can feel. Let's really fill up our cups, and then we can spread more and create little mini revolutions like we're doing at the garage here in Sydney, and with Mojo Thrive Guide and this podcast. So this is one of our first live. This is the first Google Hangout Live event. And Tamika, why don't you tell them, plug what your next seminars or your next events that are coming up, so people in Australia and the States, if they're over here or wherever in the world you're planning on doing things, how can they contact you or get in touch with you?
Yeah, so the best way is my new website that will be up and running shortly, tamikahilder.com, and the lifemasteryseminars.com. So www.lifemasteryseminars.com. At the moment, we've just finished our tour, so we'll be probably starting again September, I'd say, with the next tour, and doing, probably 12 in a year or so, I'd say. So yeah, so we'll have plenty of the life mastery seminars on in Australia in different cities, and you're definitely welcome to come and check it out. It, like Ryan said, is, it's old information. It's, ancient information that is for some people on the leading edge of, new information, and will really, potentially change your whole way of thinking and understanding about what is really possible for your life and for our planet, and that you can absolutely 100% create a life that you love and that is, really aligned with your heart for deep fulfillment. So yeah, I welcome you and invite you to join us because it'll change your life in really beautiful, beautiful ways.
Tamika, oh my gosh, from the bottom of my heart, I cannot thank you so much for being on here. I love, 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 love everything you're coming up with. I look up, ever since I saw the seminar, I really look up to you as someone I can connect with and don't feel so alone on this planet. And now continuing that journey and evolving as crusaders, as awakened individuals, as purposeful, just love moonbeaming, sensational, enthusiastic, passionate, and that plethora and that arrangement of what we're doing in life. And we're literally flying high and sending others with wings to carry on the journey of people of past. And I think we're channeling great people, and we're channeling good DNA, and we're channeling information now, world streaming all over, so people can now find the truth and the answers, and maybe help them through tough times, help them get out of suicide, and help them stop hanging out with knuckleheads that will drive them to the grave. And then giving them some clarity that death isn't our last mission. We are energy, and everything we see right here isn't what it really is. It's quantum. We are very special, and we are figuring out so much more, and let's just enjoy this journey. And I can't thank you enough. And please have a blessed night. And everyone who's listening, oh man, there's going to be more coming, and there's going to be, I hope to have Tamika on again. I hope to have a lot more knowledgeable discussions of abundance, and you'll hear some new poetry, and you'll hear new Mojo Thrive Guide stuff. Check out the Wellness Travel Companion. My old YouTube videos, do not check out. That was at a low vibration. Let's just I'm having on Wednesday night, I'm having a comedy show. You'll see the funnier side of me, and I might be splendor of the grass, and we'll see what happens in the week that unfolds. And come visit me in Australia. Peace. Thank you, Tamika.
Peace. Thank you.
Ciao, ciao. Talk soon.
Okay, bye-bye. Bye.